Well, guys, thank you and welcome to this second session for the DNN Show and Tell Meetup. I'm Marco, and the event, the session is hosted by Jeremy, Farrance, and Steve Karpik as well. Today, we have a total of four demos that we are going to talk about. But before we get into business, I want you all to remember that we have a Meetup page that we constantly share on Discord and the DNN Community website. We have a link there on the event section as well, where you can go and easily jump into this platform, log in if you want to. If not, we eventually share the link for the session before we get started. And also, if you don't have the time to be with us and share, well, we have the YouTube channel, the DNN Show and Tell, and we upload the whole session, and also we upload the demos, one by one, so people can easily go and check out the content they are looking for. Um, Before we start with the demos, I'm gonna give the word to Daniel so he can talk about a little bit about the recent release on DNN. Go ahead, man.
Yes, so just today, DNN 10.3.2 was released, and I want to, well, first encourage everybody to upgrade. There is nothing major except a couple of regression issues were fixed, and our definition of regression is like a bug that is introduced in that version that didn't exist before, and we are trying very hard to get a very nice, stable place for people to upgrade to DNN 10 easily, and a lot of effort was put into that. We have a suggested upgrade path in the DNN documentation, which is being updated right now on the versions that we suggest people jump to. And that's pretty much it. I know you were showing the release notes there, but there was an issue with the modals not working, with an encryption change, language flags, a couple of things that made it that those are regression bugs. And we mainly focused on those things for this release. So you're not going to see a lot of like enhancements. It's more a stabilization of having a good release to recommend people upgrading to.
Thank you, Daniel.
You are welcome.
Okay, great. So let's just get started. If I'm not missing anything, Jeremy, I think we can start with the first one, right?
Okay, so you'll need to unshare and then I'll share my screens, Marco.
Okay, great. So Steve is going to start with the first demo. So I'm going to stop sharing, and there you are, man.
Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about today is how to use DNN for multilingual websites. Living in Canada, we're a bilingual country, so a lot of the websites that I do have to be both English and French. So I've ended up had quite a bit of experience with this. And over the years, it's got easier and easier to bilingual. What I usually do is I'll develop the website in the sort of out of the box US English form, and then I'll transform it over. So I'll go through some of the important steps here. If I go to site settings, and then I go to languages, I see that it's English USA. So the first thing I have to do is I have to add English Canada and French Canada. So first, and I will find English Canada, and I've added that. And then I add on top of it, I add French Canada. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Français. There we are. Now we have a website with English US. The next thing I do is I don't want the English US, so I change the site default to English Canada, and then I save that. And then I go up to here to the English USA, and I tell the website that I'm going to disable the US English. So there we go. Save that. We have the American, the US English is disabled. The primary language of the website is English Canada, and French is the secondary language. And you'll notice now the URL is my URL that I had before, but with an en-ca up here. Now, the next thing I'd want to do is I want to make all the content localizable. So I click on this, and then I do save once again. So now now the next step is I am going to make a French version of every page. So if I click on enable localization, and then I say make every page that's on the website French language equivalent. So I say enable, and this works really great now. It used to be sometimes this transition where you're creating all these pages didn't always work terrifically. So that's good. And now this website is a demo site that I create. This is my standard demo site. It has an old style DNN page. It has a couple of too sexy pages. So if I now this is a very important for any of my too sexy stuff, and I go to the app settings, which there we are, and I click on language. And even though I've made the website English and French, I have to tell Too Sexy that there is English and French. So that's a very important step. And so now I'll just, if you notice now I have EN in my, I've created my theme so that it shows the languages. So here we are, we have English and French. But there's a little bit of a trick here in that, okay, first I can go in here and we have the English stuff and we have the French. It's all grayed out. So I'm going to make it so I'm going to change the title of this guy to the French equivalent, profusion. And then I'm going to likewise translate all of the text here. Too Sexy works really great with multi-language sites. I do save and close. So now we see this is my French page, in fact, and here's my English page. Now, there's a trick here that you have to keep in mind is that you think, oh, this is, well, I'll just get another browser over here and I will refresh it. And if I go to, say, this page here, it's only showing English. And that's because when you do the bulk translation of all the pages, it leaves the permission so that that page is private. So you have to go to each of the pages in your French side. So here I am at this one, to permissions. I change it to all users, and then I type save. And now I'll go grab my other where I'm not logged in. And if I refresh, I see now English and French. And so that's it. So the only things to keep in mind, and every now and then I miss these steps, are that you tell Too Sexy that you have the languages that you are having the website in, and also that you do the permissions so that the generated pages. And then also another important thing here is if I go back to here to English, if I added in something else on this page in English, I have to make sure it's visible in French. So let's say if I don't know, I'll do something like this. And I'll just add I'll add a content and do this down here. And I'll just make it some stuff there. And now I put it in the English part, but if I go here to pages and I look at the settings and the localization, you see this new thing only exists in English. To make it also exist, I have to click here and then update the localization. So that now makes it so that that module that I added on the English page also exists on the French. So that's pretty much it. So as I said, my usual procedure is to start with the English website first, lay out all the structure, the basic content, add the languages, then start with the translation. So that's it. So any immediate questions, or shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, and a quick question.
Yeah.
What do you do if you add a new page?
Oh, new page. Yes. So let's say if I go to here and I go to here and we'll say add a page and I'll say new page. And then new page. And I have a theme that I created for this. I'll go add the page. There it is. Now, if I go to here, the page settings, I go to localization. It only shows up in English. And I say add the missing language. Boom, there it is. And if I hit the update localization, it creates the French for me. So let's say if I do this, there we are, continue. And then, so there we are, new page. And if I refresh my page, we see now we have English and French. And probably, I'm almost positive that it's going to set it so that the, again, we have to be wary of the permissions, that when you do use the, when you localize, create something for the other language, it's always private initially. So I do that, and then we'd be great. So then if I drag over this browser, we see that we have this, and we have this this thing here. So that's, oh, did I not make, hang on. Look at what I've done here. I forgot to make my home page. So yeah, I haven't changed the other pages. So if you have a huge site, it means, going through all the pages, but that's it. As I said, it works really well. It used to be when the bulk translation was to set up all the second languages. It used, in the earlier versions of DNN, it had a tendency to sometimes get stuck, and then you go, oh, what do I do now? You see refresh, try it again. But I found with the later versions of version 9.13.9 or 9.13.10 or the 10. Whatever, it works really well. It's flawless.
I have an additional tip. So your presentation was about content mainly, right? But the controls like login, log off, all users, that's what we usually call like static localization, things that are not typed in, but are phrasing of controls. There's no official French Canada language pack. And DNN is really well made because there's options for fallbacks. So you could install the French language pack from France, which is one of the official ones, but not enable the language. But that allows you to do your French Canadian to fall back on the French from France. So then you almost don't need to translate anything unless it's different in Canada, which is a pretty cool feature that I only know DNN does that, which is very cool.
So So you install the language pack, but don't enable it as a language for the website? Is that what
Right.
you're
So
saying?
just that you have the
Oh,
resources, and you know
oh,
where you set up your language,
yeah.
you have a drop down for fallback. So instead of taking the English
Oh,
fallback, you can take the French fallback.
okay. Yeah.
So then you get everything translated for free, like all the static controls. If there's a term that would be different in French Canadian than French France, you only have to deal with that, but everything else is French out of the box this way, which is pretty cool.
It is English Canada complete? Obviously, English USA is, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't publish an official English Canada package, so just falls back to English US, right? So when
Yeah.
you do French Canada, you can have it fall back to the French language pack instead of the English one.
Yeah. I learned something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I will cease sharing.
I have a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
Um, are those modules shared between the English and the French pages? Is it a share
Um,
or is it a
you talk
separate
about
copy of each module?
the too sexy stuff has basically the data structures have it so that it's just one module that has has the language has the data for both. So yeah, I think that is more or less correct. So it doesn't now if I add a too sexy thing to one page, it doesn't automatically propagate to the French. It's ready to do that, but you have to do the thing with moving the module or having the module become instantiated.
That's the fun part about the localization because yeah, Too Sexy does its own thing and it's perfect and it works fine. If we go into more general modules for DNN, there's two buckets. Either the module supports localization, in which case you can have the same instance on all languages because the module handles it. But if you install a module that was not made to support localization, then you can clone it and you have a separate instance per language, all being independent of each other, which is also a nice way of doing it in DNN to support both.
Yeah, we did one recently. I was really impressed when I got to the point, and I was confused at first. And in your page settings, you end up with literally, in a way, a page for each language if you want it that way. So you can actually end up with the same module that's English, and it can have on the French page the same module again that shows French. So you do actually have a way to get to the finish line. What's really nice about Too Sexy is it treats all content as items and entities, and it manages for you. It goes and looks at your URL parameter or whatever with the language choice, and it will switch the entities that plug into your view. It's really cool how it does it. And anyhow, just wanted to add on to that.
I usually, guys, when I do the multilingual sites, like Steve mentioned, I always take care of a language first. I try to have it 100% ready,
Right.
and then move to the other one. But one thing that I always try not to forget about, it's the sitemaps priority. Because on the second language, you're gonna go 0.5 on priority level for all pages. Even though on the default language you have 1, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6 on certain pages, all the pages are going to go 0.5 once you do the second language. So, SEO subject, just take a close look at the sitemap priority on the second or third language after you publish that.
That could save a lot of time.
Yeah, especially when the client complains because they don't see any results. So,
Also,
go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing about us arrogant Americans and we only speak English. It actually, we did a site for a Canadian organization, and I just wanted to point out that you need to think through what is going to be the default language ahead of time, because we did one where we did English US, not realizing that it should be English Canada, and it was pointed out afterwards, and be quite a bit of effort to fix it, but we got away with not having to fix it. But if anyone else runs down that road, make sure as you start the project, you make the decisions and talk with the client about which language is the 100% default and properly fleshed out.
Yeah. In my case,
Especially that you
Spanish,
can
well,
change it.
yes. In my case, I have, there are a lot of countries that speak Spanish, right? So what I do is that I always ask the client which flag they want to be displayed on, because I have a tourism company in Guatemala, and they wanted to have the Guatemala flag be displayed instead of the Spain flag, right? So that little question, like Jeremy said, can save you a lot of time afterwards. That's right, man. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the second demo now, if there's no more comment or questions, and this one goes with Jeremy. So Jeremy, go ahead.
All right. Uh, Actually, I need to look at the list. I don't know which of the two I'm doing the Making the Leap demo.
Yes.
So screen share. I swear I'm going to get good at this. All right, can you see my screen?
It's thinking about it. There we are. We got it.
Yes.
All right,
Yes, we can
2-second
see it.
pause for the guy who's going to edit this.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Jeremy Farrance. We're doing a quick follow-up on last month's presentation, which was upgrading DNN. A few things have changed. As was already mentioned, DNN 10.3.2 came out. Another thing that we accidentally announced was a special release of DNN 10.2.4 and then 10.2.5 came out, and I wanted to re-explain this is specifically for people who are upgrading from 9.13.9 or 10, and I'll explain that more in a little bit. But I wanted to just give a quick overview of how you should be thinking. There's some details that I think are still confusing for people. So one of the first things to know is it's very easy to get to the DNN upgrade path. Go to Google, type 3 words, DNN upgrade path, and it's, for me at least, almost a first result. And here you have, everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So we've got a from and a to column. And what's happening here is these are your milestone versions. So if you look down here and you suppose you have a site that's on, I had a site last November, I think it was on 9.1.1. So what you're looking at here is even if you're on 9.1.2 or some other version in between these two, your next leap is 9.3.2. Once you get there, you're going to 9.13.9, all in one step. The only reason to possibly do an in-between might be if you contact a vendor who's not compatible yet, and they will let you know that, hey, you need to go to 9.6 first because we hadn't done blah yet. Those things do happen, but it's very vendor specific or module specific. It's kind of rare, but I do know people, and even myself, I've run into those things before where you have to organize and stage which versions you're going to on your modules, maybe your theme, and DNN itself. So once you're on 9.3.2, or if you're on 9.4, 9.6, even 9. Let's say 12.02, you're still going to 9.13.09. Even if you're on 9.13.08, you still want to upgrade to 9.13.09. Then we get into the confusion about 9.13.10. You do not need to go to 9.13.10 if you are on 9.13.9 and want to make the leap up to DNN 10. You can skip the .10. What .10 is for is very specific. If you have a reason, maybe it's a vendor module, maybe it's compatibility on your server, something, and you really can't make the leap to 10 yet without quite a bit of work, 9.13.10 is far more secure, fixes critical bugs over 9.13.9, and therefore you should upgrade to 9.13.10 in the meantime until you can make the leap to 10. I hope I'm explaining that well. If not, look me up on Discord and chat with me. I'll be happy to talk it through with you and make sure you got it right. There's a lot of people who take a little bit of this and get some wrong ideas about where you should go. So more specifically, we're talking about getting to 9.13.9 and then using the old method, getting the upgrade package zip and copying it over the root of your site and going straight to 10.2.5. And this fixes all kinds of things. It bypasses all kinds of problems people experienced in earlier upgrades to 10.1.2 and 10.2.1. Each one for a while there had a different type of problem emerge that affected quite a few people. 10.2.5 is a really good milestone sweet spot, and you should feel a lot more comfortable doing that upgrade. Here's a few other quick reminders. If you use Too Sexy while you are on 9.13.9 or 10, you want to get to Too Sexy version 21.2 or higher. I would prefer to say just version 21.latest. You want to get that module upgraded before you try and make the leap to 10.2.5 or any version above there. It's really important because Too Sexy swapped some things to allow for what DNN was doing with the new CDF stuff. So your upgrade will fail if you don't do that upgrade first. Most people do the module upgrades to the latest first anyhow, but I do know of cases where that's not. Some people don't follow that or have other reasons not to. All right, so old copy over method. If you're on any of the in-between versions, for example, I had a site the other day that was 10.1.2. You'll notice there's no in-betweens here. That falls in between this from and this too. So the next logical upgrade was using the old method, because notice I said 10.1, using the old method to get to 10.2.5. And then from there, if I wanted to, I could probably go to 10.3.2 now. What's interesting is if you're on 10.2.0 or 10.2.1, once you're past 10.2, now you want to use the new method to get to 10.2.5. Anyone confused yet? Good. Somebody raised their hand. Okay. So I just want to stress that there's a dividing point there at 10.2.0 where the new method exists. So if you're in that spot in between 10.2.0 and 10.2.3 or 4, still go to 10.2.5 and then up to the next version, or stop at 10.2.5 for a while. This comment was written before I realized 10.3.2 would get released today. So if you're on 10.3.0 or 10.3.1 or 10.2.5, now you should feel comfortable getting to 10.3.2. And if you run into a problem, you should consider reporting an issue, get some help to identify what the details of the bugs or errors are. And there's people out there that'd be happy to help. And other than that,
on your table there, it shows 10.3.1. Currently, it has already been changed, like on the browser, in the DNN docs. It has already been changed to recommend 10.3.2,
Yeah, I
but we
figured
hit
that.
some rate limit. So in a couple
Be a
minutes,
couple
like
hours,
today,
minutes.
I don't know. We hit
All right,
5,000 seconds. How much is that? I don't know.
good try. We know you don't have all the time in the world, so I appreciate knowing that you've already got it running. That's cool.
But yeah, we hit the rate limit and we have to wait 5,000 seconds,
Start counting. All right.
which is 83 minutes. All right, so in 2 hours, it should be fixed.
All right, so that's most of what I wanted to recover and answer most of the questions I got down the road and ran into additionally. But really, for people out there, 10.2.5 is a great milestone version. If you have not made the upgrade to from DNN 9 to 10 yet, it's going to make it worth trying. So that's a wrap. Anyone have any questions?
That was good, Jeremy. Thanks.
Welcome. Yeah, I actually felt like Sherlock figuring a lot of this out, and I got to give credit to Steve Karpik because he and I actually got together once, was it twice, Steve? And really debugged an upgrade process and really found the errors, and that helped a lot. Posted an issue on GitHub, got it fixed. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. I think early on, the big challenge in upgrading 9 was to unhook Telerik controls.
Yeah, once you got to 9.8, the adventure could happen to anyone in between about 9.8 and 9 point maybe 11. That's the range most people got rid of Telerik. If you're on 9.13 or higher and Telerik's still there, you just need to try harder. It is really important and it's not impossible to get there, but hopefully that's behind most people now. If it's not, get on Discord. That's a great place to hang out and ask questions.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jeremy. And we're moving forward to the next session, which it's my session. And then we have Jeremy again for the last one about the DNN community, how and where to stay connected. Jeremy, can you
Oh,
stop
yeah.
sharing? Thank you.
I said I'm going to get good at this. I clicked on it.
Excellent.
There you go.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, guys, let me know if you see my screen. You see it, guys?
We see it, Marco.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, well, guys, my session tonight, it's instead of a demo, it's a quick 11-slide presentation about ideas for high quality content creation. Last session, I spoke about keyword selection. So before we start a project, a website, it's important to identify keywords that have a decent amount of volume and traffic in Google, especially if our client relies or has some sort of expectations to be on the search engine result pages for Google. So once we identify those keywords and we align those keywords with different and specific pages inside of the website that we're going to create, and the idea of doing this is to make sure that we focus all of our efforts on those pages that we are going to optimize for SEO. Well, then comes this session, the second critical step, how to create not only content, but how to increase the possibilities to create high quality content. Investing time and effort on this part of the process, it gave us a lot of advantages in the future, especially for advertisement campaigns and for SEO efforts. So before I share what my ideas or the way we work in the agency to do SEO and create high quality content, I'm sharing with you guys a couple of scenarios that we faced regarding high quality content creation. So at the end of the day, the client is the one who needs the website and it's the one who owns and has the content. that they are going to publish or they would like to have published in their website. But not all the content they have, it's something that we want to publish so people can actually go through it. We have to decide which content that's going to be. And usually these are the scenarios that we get from not a lot of the clients, but most of the clients. The client is too busy in the daily business routines to focus on create high quality content. Then we have the opposite of that. You know, we have the client who takes too much time analyzing the content that is creating and just waiting for the perfect content to arrive. Then we have the text that doesn't have any sort of a structure, and this is important, especially in the new AI era. We need to have always some sort of a structure in the content, at least. And the minimum structure is going to be titles and subtitles, but it's often that we get content from clients that they want to publish that in the website that doesn't have any sort of structure. Then we have the famous generic content, you know, that feeling that you have 4 paragraphs from your client and you read those paragraph, and when you finish, you feel like you didn't read anything, right? So that's generic content. So that's something that we also get from clients. Now, nowadays, we have another scenario, and it's when the clients have used the usage of AI tools to create content. And it's important if you identify this scenario to let your client know that since last March 2025, Google is capable of identifying if a website is abusing the AI content creation in public and publishing this content into the website. And if that happened and your website goes into that bucket, well, you're probably going to get banned from SERPs forever. So it's important to warn the client that you can use AI tools, Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, to create content or create reference for you then to optimize that content, but you cannot just copy and paste, right? And the last one, and it's a common one, once you finally launch the website, then you have the current content becomes a zombie because years go by, years start adding up into that website, and you realize then all those critical pages that the client wanted to like actually be on the first pages of Google, well, it has content from 70 years that no one has ever updated. So that's a scenario that we also see very often. So at the end of the day, guys, all of these scenarios, it's a problem that is coming from the other side of the river, which is usually the client. So giving you this context, the next question is, how can we fix this? From our perspective, from my agency and how we try to resolve these scenarios, it's educate the client, educate the client, educate the client. Now, how can we approach this idea? Well, we do it in 2 different ways, and we mix that. The first one is that we try to explain the client about the customer journey. So it's important for the client to understand that every person, sorry, who visits a website, it's in a different journey. And we need to have content for each of those journeys. Now, if we go to Google and search for the customer journey, you're going to find different perspectives from our experience, and to make the life of our clients easier, we always try to explain them that we identified 3 customer journey phases. We have research, consideration, and decision making. Research now, it's taking over AI, right? So a lot of 0 clicks visits, let's say people don't go to the websites, they use AI search engines to get the information they need. Consideration, it's when people are thinking you or your business as a possibility to become the provider of the product or service they're looking for. And there usually some sort of interaction there on the website. And then we have the decision making. It's when the client already decide who is going to help them out with whatever product or service they need, and they're going to try to contact you. Once we get the client to understand that each person that visits the website, it's on a different phase of this journey. Well, when we create content or when we are going to try to create content and we take this into consideration, it's important to remember that we need to have content for each of these phases on the website. So the person who is on each of those phases can feel some sort of or some way identify and connect with the content that you are that you have on the website so people can actually stay and consume more of that content. Now, the second way that we help our clients to educate about how important it is to create a high quality content for their website, it's using AI. Now we use AI to easily create persona profiles, potential clients, where the client can actually analyze the data that we're going to share and about these profiles, and they can think about the customer journey and also think about this person that we're going to talk to. And once we mix those two things, people are gonna, or our clients are gonna have a more easy way to get to that evergreen content that is gonna be high quality for the website. So this is an example of the prompt that we use. I need two user persona for a company that offers high pressure medication in California. Each persona must include age, occupation, income, expertise, goals, pain points regarding the purchase, and 5 frequently asked questions. And after we put that on Gemini, which is the one that we use, we get this examples. So these are two examples for that scenario. We handle this over to the client. So when the client is going to create content, we are, or the client is able to take into consideration this information because he knows that he wants to talk to somebody and specifically, and also the customer journey in order for them to be able to create content or high quality content. Now, to finish, I have three sectors or markets that I want to share with you guys some sort of ideas from projects that we've been or that we have worked in the past. And based on each idea, I will give you which customer journey phase belongs to. So the first one is healthcare and wellness sector. So the first idea is post-operation recovery roadmaps. So that's going to be a research type of content. Then we have myths versus facts, evidence-based articles debunking home remedies. That's also from research phase. Then we have some sort of interaction, self-assessment screening tools. That's consideration. And then we have the self-appointment schedule tool. That's decision making. And always include testimonial and reviews. That's part of consideration, and it's important to share what people that already bought your product or service think about it. Then we have the other example, tourism and travel sector companies, city pass versus individual ticket comparison. That's research. Hidden gems directory with custom maps. That's also research. Real field weather reports by month and location. That's research, and that works a lot for people on the tropical side of the world when they go to the other part of the world. Then we have dynamic budget calculator. That's some sort of interaction, so that's consideration. Testimonial and reviews, again, consideration. And and this is the last one, content ideas for construction and real estate sector. Home maintenance manual, that's research. Before and after transformation gallery, the research as well. Legal and bureaucracy roadmap, research. Mortgage payment simulator, consideration. And testimonials and reviews, also consideration. And just to finish, I include testimonials and reviews in all three scenarios because it's right now with the AI era and people going to AI search to do their queries, it's important to focus on the experience part of the content, which is something that AI cannot easily replace. If you go and visit a restaurant and you have a nice experience and you put a review on that establishment in Google Maps, for example, that is something that AI can never replace. So if we focus or have some sort of a strategy to push happy clients to make reviews on our profiles for, Google Maps, Yelp, TripAdvisor, whatever, Trustpilot, it's a good strategy to become more relevant in AI and also in Google search. So that's a wrap for me, guys. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do, Marco. Just curious about a word you used. You talked about abusive AI tools. And I'm just curious what that refers to. In terms of
Abusive.
yeah,
Well,
you said that you get into trouble if those are being used.
well, if you abuse of that usage of the tools and you just copy and paste the content that you generate from those tools, that's abusive usage. Let's put it that way. So, for example, I have one client like 3 months ago. Like they wanted to create a section in the website for sectors. So they want to create a page for medical sector, another one for financial. And on each of those pages, they wanted to explain in detail all the things that they can do for those type of companies, right? So he tells me the idea today. And then today it's Tuesday. On Thursday, he sends me a 30-page document with 10 sectors, right? So that's obviously abusive usage of AI tools. So you have to, you can use them to create, but you always need to review, check facts, because that's something that is still happening a lot. A lot of information that comes is not accurate. For example, image related. Today, actually, I have an experience with a client that we were running an interaction campaigns focus on messages on Facebook, and we use the AI tool to make modifications of the image the client was trying to publish. And when we checked those images generated by AI, all the content, the text in the image was just misreading. I mean, you cannot understand the text on the AI image that the AI tool generated for us. So you always have to double check and make sure that everything is correct. And just to finish that question up, Steve, Google did an update on the algorithm back in March 2025 because before that, and it was March 2025, and ChatGPT was announced on November the 30, I think was 2022. So we're talking about 3 years lab. A lot of people create websites where they start in copy and paste content for AI, and there was no way for Google to identify those pages. So once you get a lot of traffic on those websites, you go into Google AdSense, you register your website, and Google plays ads, image ads on those websites. So those people who had those websites start making money for almost 3 years and a half until Google identified that kind of behavior, created that update in the algorithm, and then start banning all those websites. Mark, you raise your hand. Go ahead, man.
Hey, Marco, could you comment on the change in strategy now that a lot of people are getting their answers from AI or AI search results summaries instead of actually going to any web page?
Yeah, great question. Well, right now, from the information that it's been displayed on studies and analysis, market analysis people are doing, um, it's the fact to focus on technical SEO right now. Because from the studies that I've been seeing recently, AI overviews, which is the feature that you get on search engine result pages from Google, 80%, almost 90% of the information that you see on those results, it's coming from the top 10 blue links on organic results. So you're not getting traffic, or you're getting less traffic than before, but you're getting less traffic from people who were just on the research customer journey phase. And those questions and those answers people are getting that information from the AI search results, right? So in order to be relevant, in my case, what I recommend is focus on technical SEO because it's still relevant. And it's important for you to be on the first page of Google because that way you're gonna get automatically citations and mentions on the AI search results, right? And the last thing I mentioned before I finish the presentation is the experience part. That is something that AI cannot replace. So if you focus on the experience part, the before and after, the videos of customers saying what they think about your business and what you have done for them, all that content is something that AI cannot simply replace. So if you focus on that part, eventually you have more chances to be displayed on the SERPs for Google and also for the AI search engines.
So you're saying I should not ask the AI to generate 10 fake reviews for my towing business.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? I have a client, and this is my last example from my own experience. We try to help a business to make them more viewable and have more organic traffic into their website. And we were having a really hard time. We optimized the website, we optimized the content, we start looking for links, we start updating the disavow link list from Google Search Console to let Google know these links are toxic, don't listen to them. But then 6 months later, we found out the client purchased links before we got into the equation. So the
Ooh.
problem with buying links is that they offer you 1,000 links, and most of them are toxic. So what you are doing is you're just dragging your website down to the ground because those toxic links are not letting the good content get in Google, because Google identifies a bunch of links all of a sudden, pointing at your website from toxic links. So don't ever buy links, because if you
Yeah.
do, you might never get your website recover from that at all. You might never be able to be on the first page if you ever do that. Okay, so I think we're done with the subject. I'm going to stop sharing, and
Oh,
Jeremy, I think you can go on yours, the last one.
all right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
It's loading.
Yes.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
All right. That was my pause. So I'm Jeremy Farrance coming in for the second time here. My demo is the answer to the question, how do I keep up with DNN? And it's surprising, when I started this list, it was pretty brief, and I was like, that's not enough. And each time I went looking further, I found a lot more things. So I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly. But I would start on the dnncommunity.org site. The three main things that I find myself going back to regularly are fairly obviously the blog, and that's where maybe some of you found out about this meetup. And there's just a lot of good mix of technical and new releases and other stuff that goes on here. And if you find an article or something by somebody that you like and you think they might have other articles, this list over here is really helpful. So here's Mitch Sellers, and now we can zoom in and see all the stuff Mitch wrote recently, and you can see this guy's really technically oriented, so that's cool. Another good place that's gotten much better is the DNN forums. This is actually a module, open source community module in DNN called the Community Forums. And so you can actually use this on your own site if you had a need. I actually quoted on it for a client recently. One of the nice features I want to make sure people are aware is, once you get logged in and you have an account, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, I can't show you unless I'm logged in, and that's over here. Sorry. Here's the DNN forums with me logged in, and I did the drop down called not read. So if you go a week without being here, and you can see I have not, you'll get a nice concise list of the 10 latest things that have had updates or replies, or I think even if somebody clicked like on it or something. So anyhow, the forums are nice. Moving on from there, We talked about the blog, that Discord. I think most of you here I see on and off in Discord, but Discord has pretty much become the daily discussion point, Q&A style stuff that's going on, announcements, solve your problem. Discord, the DNN community does really good. And if you want to know how to find the server that is the DNN community on Discord, that's actually back on the homepage of the DNN community site. This box right here has a valid invite. I'm not going to click on it, but it will actually, we've had to refresh it 2 or 3 times in the last year, but it will get you invited in and into the right server. And I highly recommend you check it out and hang out. Discord's pretty darn active lately. That's what it looks like. I have some weird stuff in there, so I moved it off screen real fast. Don't pause. Moving on from Discord. It actually might seem a little gearheaded, but you can get a lot of information just by going to the GitHub repo for DNN. In particular, the releases will show you what the latest release is. And honestly, they do a really good job. There's a lot of information in here that can tip you off as to when a new feature came into an existence. So these can be worth reading depending on your level of interest. Another thing is looking at the issues. You can get a good sense quickly of what's being kept up with, what's getting fixed. Any issues that have a lot of comments are usually pretty interesting to read. And then lastly, the discussions here. Over time, they kind of fade into the past, but there's been some decent ones lately, and I have to admit, I even started one that I'm a little too interested in. But the new upgrade UI in the persona bar, I'm hoping will get some improvements. Like some people complained about that little steps icon there, and nobody knew what it was. I had one customer actually tell me, well, I didn't know what that was. I was afraid to click on it. So here we're discussing maybe change it to an apply button. And you're welcome to get in here if you have an account and start commenting on it, as some people have done. So moving on from GitHub, DNN Docs. This home page doesn't get updated often enough, but it did get a recent update, and you'll even notice the show and tell meetup is in here. And Southern Fried, which we'll get to in a minute, is here. DNN Summit, I believe, is about to properly announce. I think they've already set dates for the new one. It's virtual only, but you'll be able to find out that type of information here, or go directly to their website. Let me back up because I think I skipped one. There we go. So on the docs, one of the things I wanted to point out to people is this search works up to a point, but not very well. One of the things you can do, Google indexes the site really well. So if you don't know this trick, here's a real trick for you. If you take, I'm sorry, that needs to say docs dot. So you put this site colon in front of the domain, subdomain, and URL. So site colon docs.community.org space, and then what you want to search for. And it will give you, wow, that did not work that time. Did I spell HTML sanitizer wrong? There it is. No, it's not. All right, well, on every other day when I've demoed this, it's fantastic and will take you straight into the DNN docs. It's possible something is excluding it right now or Google's having a problem, but this for over a year now has been the best way to find things in the DNN docs, especially as a developer when your searches are fairly unique. All right, and then DNN Connect starts tomorrow, the next day, 2 days from now, going on in Belgium. There is some good information on this site. Check it out. It's also the DNN Summit. I believe I was told Ryan or someone's working on getting this site updated with the new announcement. So check back on that in the next week. One of the interesting ones that I think as a vendor, they do a really good job keeping things up to date and announcing stuff that's exciting, at least within their product and their contributions to the community. The Too Sexy blog is really good. And And I'm going to switch over to here. Go full screen. Get that out of the way. And then, which is where you are now, there's the DNN Show and Tell Meetup. It would probably help us feel better, at least, if you signed up on here and attended a few meetings in the future. We also have a YouTube page, 36 views, 65 views. So there's things going on. One of the things we're doing different than other meetups in the past is we're posting clips individually. This time out, we're going to post the entire meeting complete, probably sometime tomorrow, and then each clip, each session will be posted one business day at a time, and we're going to see how that goes. We're experimenting and learning how this stuff works. Hopefully we'll get more views that way. Southern Fried's still around. You can join them in the meetup on their meetup page, and they have a DNN Southern Fried DNN channel, sorry, on YouTube, and all their stuff is here. I did talk with Ryan recently, and he does have the recordings for the two most recent ones this year. Those are in the process of getting up there. They did not get up there right away. And then that's it. I'm at the end of my list. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was DNN. There we go. If you are interested in the DNN MVC pipeline, there is a way to get to a version of DNN that is forked on DNN Connect. Anyhow, that's probably a little too much to go into right now, but if you're interested in that kind of thing, reach out to me on Discord and I'll get you the links I have for most of the things on the MVC pipeline. Anyone have any questions, or did I miss something really obvious, which is my biggest fear? Where else do you find out about stuff going on in the DNN community?
I think you cover pretty much everything, man, right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that I'm aware of.
I'm sure there's something else, but I'll probably think of it an hour from now or tomorrow morning in the shower. That's what happens to me with all my good thinking in the shower. All right. Well, I think we should wrap up. We actually almost had one more quick demo, but that person didn't make it. So unfortunately, we're going to wrap up now. If anyone would like to stick around after we turn off the recording, and I'm just going to chat casually. Welcome to gripe about things, but I tend to be a little more positive, right? All right. I'm going to stop my screen share. Anyone object to me turning off the recording?
No.
All right. Thanks, everyone.